I knew I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon since I was about 13 years old. My first probably orthopedic injuries. Well, my first orthopedic injury was when I was 2 years old when I decided to climb a TV, and the TV fell on top of me and I broke my ankle and I was in a cast. My mom likes to save things, so I think she has a box still with those casts in it. But when I was 10 years old in 4th grade, I was playing soccer. Went to score a goal. My leg hit the goalie's leg and fractured my tibia. So that was my first real injury that I actually remember. I don't remember my 2-year-old injury, but so that was put in a long leg cast there, and then transitioned to a short leg cast, started walking, took the cast off, and I couldn't wait to get back to playing soccer. And so what did I do the next day? They probably told me, don't play soccer for a couple of weeks, but I went straight back, played soccer, and that same day I refractured it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Breaks actual the DJ, passing up these half-stepping cats that can't keep pace, saddened by the blasphemous whackness they create. Send them on their way, but stay praying they reach safe.
Michael Mijares, doctor, welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. It's good to be here, man. It's awesome to see you.
Thank you. Same here. I'm thrilled to have you on this new podcast. It's called Always an Athlete. When we met, we were athletes. We're still athletes.
Still athletes. Still athletes.
In different areas of life. And so I'm really grateful to have this conversation with you today.
Love the title, man. Always an athlete. You got the basketball included in it. This is all you.
Yes, sir.
It's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. This is amazing to see you kind of to grow from where we were in high school, 9th grade, little, basketball players on the
let's
JV,
talk about that.
On the JV team. Yeah. You did more playing. I did more watching.
That's because I was able to play power forward at 6 foot on our team.
Yeah, what else? Hitting 4'11", maybe. I don't remember.
That was the Twin Towers with Todd Gross.
Yep. Julius. Yeah, you guys had a good crew. We had a fun time.
So tell me about that. You came to Ransom in 9th grade?
Yeah.
And where were you before that?
Yeah, so I was at Dade Christian, I guess close by here. And it was my mom that really, around 8th grade, she's like, I need to get you somewhere else, I guess, for whatever reason she may think. And it changed my life. She made me apply to several schools and got into Ransom, and Ransom's top school in the nation, one of the top schools in the nation. And I didn't know that at the time. I was in 8th grade. I was like, my mom wants to pull me out of this school, so I ended up going to Ransom, and you were one of the first guys that I met. And I think playing sports, being an athlete, really helped me integrate into the school much better. So I started playing 2-a-days, right, football, before I even got to the school. So I met some of the other guys, and we're all friends to this day. But yeah, so Ransom was great. 8th grade, I wanted to go back to my old school, right? but my parents told me, stick with it. It's change.
Right.
Nobody likes change, but stick with it, and it ended up being the best thing I ever did. I loved it. It's fantastic.
How long, like in months, do you think it took before you were like, all right, I could do this?
Yeah.
Was it the first football game or?
No. Well, I was the new kid. I was from a different part of town. I was from a different upbringing. I didn't have any doctors or lawyers in my family. I was just, I came to school with a little silver chain and a fade, and
I had a fade at the time too.
Yeah, it was like the new guys. They're you show up to a preppy school and it's different, a totally different vibe. It was a culture shock, for sure, a culture shock, and but it helped. I met people along the way that kind of helped elevate my mentality, my thought. Later in high school, I'd be like, I want to go to this college, right? Like, my dad didn't go to college. It's like, I want to go to this college. And then, a good friend of ours, Luke Sampson, he was like, that's all you want to go for? Like, you should go reach for higher.
Right.
And that like just elevated my game. Like, the possibilities were endless.
Tell me about that. What was Luke saying?
He pretty much said, like, you can do better than that, right? not going to mention the schools that I was aiming for, but
sure.
but they weren't to where he thought that I can go, and where this high school can elevate you to too. So we applied to some schools that were reaches, and man, I got into my first choice. Ended up going to Vanderbilt, and look at them playing football now. It's, now in the news, and but yeah, I never thought that was a possibility, and especially if I was where I was before, I pretty much guaranteed like that would not have been a possibility.
Right.
I wouldn't even think about applying there.
Right.
Yeah.
And so tell me, so when we met, when school started, it was football season. So football season and basketball season, but you played other sports too, right? Soccer as well?
Yeah, freshman year. Let's see. So football was the first sport, and then was it basketball that was right?
That was a winner.
Basketball was a winter sport. And in the fall, Ransom was so hard, I think I was like, I need to study. So I don't know if I played a sport in the fall. I don't recall. Soccer was also a winter sport. So I ended up transitioning from basketball to soccer my sophomore year, and then played the rest of high school in soccer. And was stuck with football. And then I picked up also in 10th grade, picked up water polo. Never even heard of that sport. Didn't even know it existed.
Right.
But Marcel Aniato, who was on the soccer team with me, he was playing and then gave it a shot and ended up being pretty good at it. I played goalie, and so we won state champions, and it was good.
And so so we left after our sophomore year. We moved to Vegas. And in that transition, sports is what helped me too. I moved in the summertime before school started, met all my friends before school started. And so when day one, I went from Ransom, where I've been since 6th grade, to a huge public school in a new state, new city. Basketball was the bridge.
Yeah, how was that? You were in Vegas, no?
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, it was like, in some ways it was similar to Miami because everyone diverse isn't really the word, and I certainly wouldn't have thought about that at that time. It was just that my friends came from different backgrounds. Like some had a 2-family home. Some people had a 1-parent home. Some people lived with their grandparents. Some people lived down the street from the school. Some people lived an hour away. Whereas at Ransom, I lived an hour away.
So did I.
Yeah, exactly.
We both lived an hour away.
we were coming from out of town in a way to go to school, and it was always a warm place. But sports always was the common denominator that made it so that regardless of where we came from, we could find a community. Same thing actually.
Sports
was
made
true
it
in law
easy.
school for me. Actually,
Sports made it so easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, driving an hour to school, that just, kind of goes to show the sacrifice that our parents made for us. I think that, we'll probably get into that a little later, but
we will.
But
let's talk about what you're doing now. So Mijares Orthopedics, tell me about your practice.
Yes.
Where is it based? What kind of patients do you treat?
So I started my practice about a year and a half ago, March 2024. I was with some other practice before and decided I wanted to do my own thing. I treat shoulders, hips, knees, ankle fractures, a little bit of everything, from arthroscopy, minimally invasive arthroscopy, which is where we make small incisions in the shoulder joint, and through a camera and some instruments and portals, we're able to fix rotator cuffs, we're able to fix labrums, instability, shoulder dislocations, and they recover much faster instead of making big open incisions. So, and then along with that, I'm doing shoulder replacements, knee replacements, hip replacements, so kind of the full gamut of injuries, and all walks of life, right? From the high school athlete, weekend warriors, to the abuelita who can't walk because her knee hurts too much and needs a knee replacement, right? And these surgeries are game changing, they're life changing, and to see people go through that and come out on the other side different person, a stronger person, and it's good to see. It's awesome to see.
And what took you to that area of practice?
Orthopedics. So I think it all began. I knew I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon since I was about 13 years old. My first orthopedic injuries. Well, my first orthopedic injury was when I was 2 years old, when I decided to climb a TV, and the TV fell on top of me and I broke my ankle and I was in a cast. My mom likes to save things, so I think she has a box still with those cats in it. But when I was 10 years old in 4th grade, I was playing soccer, Went to score a goal. My leg hit the goalie's leg, and fractured my tibia. So that was my first real injury that I actually remember. I don't remember my 2-year-old injury, but so that was put in a long leg cast there, and then transitioned to a short leg cast. Started walking, took the cast off, and I couldn't wait to get back to playing soccer. And so what did I do the next day? They probably told me, don't play soccer for a couple of weeks, but I went straight back, played soccer, and that same day I refractured it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so my 4th grade year, I was the majority of it I remember just being in casts and walking in crutches and racing my teacher down the hall with crutches, which probably I should have not have done. So, they say doctors are the worst patients. I could attest to that.
So 4th grade, and then you go through middle school, ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask it a different way. You knew at 13 you wanted to be a doctor. As you got older, did you ever have doubts about that or think maybe something other than a physician?
No, the passion was inside.
Okay.
It was in there, and it was like, this is what I'm going to be. This is like why I was put on this earth. I was meant to help people, to cure people, to fix people. Really the fixing part. That's what I like to do. I like to fix things. Senior year, playing football, tore my MCL, was treated, and I noticed the way, they were just manipulating my knee and testing me, and they're like, this is what you got. This is how we're going to treat it. And I was like, that's amazing. You didn't even get an MRI, you know what I have. And so, and I was able to, and I rehabbed that, and it was hard. It's hard. Like, how do you tell a senior his last year in football, right? He's not playing college ball. Last year in football, like, you're out the whole season. And so luckily it happened in the beginning of the season. Towards the end of the season, we rehabbed it, we worked hard, and I was like, Coach, please put me in the game. Give me one more pass. I just need one more. So he put me on a fly, and I caught it, and then the player landed on my knee, and I was like, felt a little something. I was like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, closure.
Wow.
Right? Like,
who was the coach at that time?
Coach Hewitt.
Okay.
Yep. Coach Hewitt.
It was Luke the quarterback?
Luke was the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, yeah.
And then after that injury, were you still able to play soccer and water polo that year?
Yeah. So normal senior season.
Okay.
Like, if nothing ever happened. So yeah, I was able to play soccer, able to play water polo. That's it. And I mean, got the Letterman jacket, got all the little, all the
insignia,
and all that stuff. Still got it to this day. I keep it. I like memories. But yeah, I mean, it was very special few years in high school. And sports was what kind of made it shine, I think.
Yeah, same here. So you go to Vanderbilt?
So I went to Vanderbilt. Hard school. Yeah. Joined a fraternity, probably made the school even harder. But loved it. It was a beautiful school. The people I met there, incredible people. The fraternity kind of facilitated some of these social networking, and but it was fantastic. I'm glad I went there. I'm blessed and grateful to have been able to go there. Not everyone can do that.
Right.
So, grateful for the acceptance and grateful for the ability to actually attend.
And then what'd you study there?
So I was pre-med, so I took a lot of biology classes, genetics and chemistry, organic chemistry. And I was majoring in biology, and then a colleague of mine would come. We had a suite, and he would come back, and I'd hear him studying, and I was like, man, this is interesting what he's looking, what he's studying. He's studying criminology, things like that. I almost became an attorney. Look at that.
That's what I'm saying. Did you ever get tempted by anything else?
I was tempted in high school. We took a little field trip with Judge Mark, so Aaron Mark's dad. Right, like you have all these parents that are professionals,
yes.
And I think that opened up my eyes. Like, this is a possibility, right? What were we getting to? What was the?
You had a classmate who was doing criminology.
Yeah. So I decided, I'm going to be doing biology for the rest of my life. I'm going to be doing chemistry for the rest of my life, and it's not the most enjoyable subjects, but like let's enjoy college and learn and broaden my knowledge, and so I changed my major to sociology. So I started taking the family classes, some women's studies classes, some statistics, different types of to just not just focus solely on science, but to kind of like expand. And I think that's helped a lot, right? It introduced me to different people. So I didn't just surround myself by scientists and people that just wanted to be doctors. So, you know, people from all walks of life. I'm still in contact with them to this day. Some of them became doctors, even with a sociology major, but others didn't and did other things and business and, you know, so it's been good.
So you ended up majoring in sociology?
So I majored in sociology, yeah. So I figured out you can still be pre-med and major in whatever you want.
Right.
So, you know, had to do it all over again, you know, sociology, maybe some economics in there, maybe some business.
Same.
Yeah. Right?
Same.
You know, that kind of brings along, you know, the mentorship, right? I didn't really have someone telling me like you should do this and that. There was no doctors in my family, so I didn't know. I was kind of learning along the way. But it was good. It makes you a better person when you have to figure out you have to blaze the trail. And because of that, I'm able to look back and kind of guide. You know, people reach out to me all the time, and I guide them and I mentor them and I tell them, you know, this is what we got to do to, you know, a lot of people want to get into orthopedics. It's super hard, especially if you go to Caribbean school. Super hard. Yeah. So after Vanderbilt, ended up.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So.
Well, let me segue. So, then I want to talk about that as well.
Sure.
And so you go to undergrad, going into it, you don't have the way I describe this when I think about my own life is a blueprint. So I have ideas or have had ideas. I've been fortunate, I think, like you, to have peers as well as people around me who may be older than me who can give tips, but the tip is only as good as your ability to understand it and the resources you have to act on it. And so I was always grateful to have that kind of support, but a lot of it was trial and error. And it's always great to be able to pass that on now to people that I meet who, like you, have an idea of what they want to be, but no blueprint. And so you go to Vanderbilt, you're pre-med, you land in sociology. You still, at that time, have the vision of becoming an orthopedic surgeon?
Still do.
All right. So you still have the vision.
Still do. Always have.
And you get to a point, eventually, and I want to hear about this, where you have to figure out where to go next to actually make the dream come true. So talk to me about that.
So the MCAT was really hard.
Okay. What's the MCAT?
And I had, I went to college and, like university, college, like when I thought of this, I thought this is a place to have fun. This is a place of freedom. This is like, find yourself. The academics part of it, like I wish I would have, like if I would have gone to college now, knowing what I know, like, man, I would have taken advantage of it so much more. Like if I knew how to study, right? Like if someone sat me down and taught me, like, this is how you study, and which I learned in med school, which made med school a breeze for me. It was easy. Right. Like it wasn't hard at all. But college was so hard for me because I would do late night, study all night. I would wait till the night before a test. Like thinking back, I'm like, what was I thinking? That's not the right way to do it. But I guess I didn't know any better, So that's, learning how to study is what I teach a lot of my, my mentees, I guess. Right. But yeah, I think I would have done things a little differently. But maybe that would have landed me in another place that would have made me a different person, right? If I would have just flown through like, top high school, top university, like I thought I was invincible. I thought I can do whatever I want. It's just all going to come to me, right? And then I hit a road. I hit, a genetics course that I had to, retake. And then I started, it started to become more difficult. There was a lot of competition, right? So like the funnel, right? The bucket just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Not everyone can go to medical school. Not everyone can be a doctor. And so I ended up, not being able to get into U.S. schools. And so I was like, man, this dream is slowly like dwindling away. And, but I never.
Slow that down for me. Not able to get into U.S. schools. How did you determine that you were not able to get into U.S. schools and over what period of time?
Well, so I took the MCAT and I was like, that score is not going to do it for me. That hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, I opened up. I remember clear as day. I was in my room. I opened up the score, and tears flowed out of my eyes. 'Cause I was like, man, I gave it everything I had, and I'm just not a good standardized test taker, I guess. I don't know, right? The weed out, like, got me. So, but I didn't want to give up. I was like, you know what? So I took a year. I worked with my dad, who does precision sheet metal manufacturing, and we'll get into that. But working with my hands, I used to go in the summers and work with my hands. But then that summer, I developed a software to help his company be more efficient. So using more of the brains than the hands at this point. But that year off, I just learning more about myself, and I said, you know what, I'm still going for this. I'm not giving up. And I applied, got into Dominica, Ross University, which is a Caribbean school, which they accept more kids. They give you a second chance at becoming a doctor if you really, really want it. If you want it bad enough, I tell people, if you want it bad enough, you're gonna find a way to do it. Like, you'll find a way.
Right.
It just depends, like, how bad do you want it. And so I went there, and again, having no guidance on what to do. Like, no one told me how hard it's going to be to get into orthopedic surgery from a Caribbean medical school. I had no idea. I was like, oh, you know what? Perfect. I'm back on the track. I'm back on, in med school. Good. Just going through the steps and just got to do well in med school, and I'll get into ortho. No problem.
Was that true?
No. No. It's hard. It's really hard. And that's why I think you'll see me get emotional at times, because like it really took a lot to overcome those like roadblocks, like giant, like imagine like roadblocks where you don't know if there's another side to it. And just kind of like putting your head down and just looking at, right, 2 steps ahead of you. Just get there. Don't look at the 10 steps, right? If I look 10 years from now, I started residency 10 years from now. 11 years, I was lost. 12 years, I was lost. I had no residency program. I was doing research. So it's all about just look at the, and you read it in books sometimes. I think I read it maybe in a Malcolm Gladwell book. I don't know, but just look at the 10 steps ahead of you and just get there.
Right.
Right. Don't look at the 100 paces ahead of you. Just go little baby steps, little steps along the way will get you to where you want to be.
Tell me what's for a non-physician hearing this or that you meet, what's the time frame? So you finish Vanderbilt, you have a year in between undergrad and medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And then how long was medical school? And then how much time had passed when you're trying to figure out residency?
Sure. So, to go straight through, if I was just going straight through the whole thing, you do 4 years of high school, you do 4 years of 4 years of college. You go straight into med school, do 4 years of med school. So at that point you should be around 26 years old. And then you straight from med school, you apply and you get into a residency. And an orthopedic residency is 5 years long. And most docs now out of residency are doing a year fellowship. Right. So it's a lot of years.
And you did all those things, but what you're saying is that along the way there was uncertainty of whether you were going to place in the appropriate residency. Is
there
that
was
right?
gaps. Yeah. So I took 1 year between college and med school, and then ended up taking me from when I finished med school to residency. It took me 4 years. And one of those years was in a prelim surgery year where that was crazy. That was back then they used to have the scramble, right?
So what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah. And now it's all
scramble?
computer program. Yeah. So the scramble. It's just so crazy how like your life depends on what straw do you pick? It's like you put all your information into algorithm. Like my first application cycle, I spent like $10,000 applying to 120 schools
to get into residency.
And then like you don't get in, and then, right?
And in medical school, is that an email
right?
saying
that's
you're not
credit
in?
card debt?
Is that a letter saying you're not in? How do they communicate?
Yeah, they send you an email. So I've received I'll say over the 3 application cycles, about 300
wow.
denied. Didn't I? So imagine, like I feel like my personality changed. It kind of hardens you when you're constantly told no. And you know, some of the most successful entrepreneurs, right? They're being told 1,000,000 times no, but all it takes one.
That's right.
All it takes is one yes, and that's it. And then you fly.
Right.
And so that's what it was. So that's what I always thought. It's like, you know, just need one. I just need one to give a chance, and that's what happened. So I applied the first time, ended up scrambling. Let's talk about this scramble. So scramble is where there's some programs that they have empty spots, right? So let's say they have like 5 open positions for residents, and maybe they fill 3 of them. So there's 2 empty, right? But there's programs all over the country that have like little spots that are empty. Orthopedics, pretty much every year there's like 0 spots, right? There's like 300 applicants that didn't get in that are still waiting, right? So it's like a backlog of medical students, like highly qualified U.S. graduate medical students that can't get into an orthopedic surgery spot because there's not enough spots. So what do? So there's these prelim, transitional years, right? There's a general surgery year. You do 1 year, and so you can apply to those. And back then, the scramble, at a certain time, all the programs that have empty spots, on a computer, they say, these are all the programs that are available. And then you have, a list of the spots that you kind of are interested in going to. And then you got to see, are those spots available? And then you're straight cold calling these institutions, program directors, and asking for interviews. And then they interview you. Then you have like a few interviews, and then they're like, okay, we'll accept you. And then you're like, okay, great. And then you gotta, uproot. Some people have families. Look, I was single at the time, so I just go and do my 1 year. I ended up at UMass in Worcester, and my idea behind that is, get into the U.S. system. That's why I did it. Some people just go in and do 2 or 3 years of research and then reapply. I wanted, because I came from a foreign med school, I wanted to go and show these U.S. docs that, I can hang, right? Like I'm more than qualified. I did great in my medical school. Like, I just need letters of recommendation from U.S. doctors. Right. And so that's what I did. And then after that year, I decided not to reapply, but to do 2 years of research. And that's where I began networking and hustling, kind of sneaking into hospitals. And
I saw the list of publications.
Yeah. So
that happened so I didn't know that, though. So I saw the list, and it, your website describes that you are a researcher, but there was actually a time frame where you were focused on research for
that's all I did.
2 years?
It was, from 2012 to about 2015. So 3 years.
Wow, 3 years.
Where I made some introductions. I have a friend's dad that was an orthopedic that said, you should go, you should contact this person. He's a biomechanical researcher, and Dr. Lara. And so I contacted him, and so we worked in a little lab right outside of Mount Sinai. And every time you walk in the lab, they were doing some sheep research, right? So you smell the sheep when you go in there, and you're doing biomechanics research. And then from there, another surgeon, a hand surgeon, Dr. C, Dr. Cardozo, he saw me, and we went out to lunch, and he's like, I want to introduce you to the program director. Like, you go back and you start connecting the dots. Right. And it's, like, I'm a believer, and, it's incredible to go back and see how it all just kind of worked out. And so he's like, let me introduce you to the program director at University of Miami. And I'm like, whoa, awesome. And then, let me introduce you to the pit where the orthopedic residents hang out. And so, and this was at Jackson Memorial Hospital, which is a crazy hospital. You see everything there. I've been. That's where I ended up doing my residency, right? So I was doing research at the biomechanics lab. I went in and just, knocked on the door full of, a room full of orthopedic residents. Terrifying, totally out of my comfort zone. This is not something that I do. And I opened the door, and all these typical orthopedic residents, they're working out. They're like, hey, and I'm like, hey, I'm Michael. I go to Ross, or I've graduated Ross, and I really want to do orthopedics. Like, can I help you put on splints? All right. Mm-hmm. And so I started, going after my research job, going there like at 5:00, almost, a few times a week.
In the evening?
Yeah, 2 times a week, and I would stay there for a few hours, and then I would probably skip the traffic, coming from Miami, but I'll stay there for a few hours, put it on splints. I learned how to put on splints, help the residents. Residents got to get to know me. I got to get to know them, and then then I applied, and I didn't get in.
Wow.
And that letter I opened on the steps of the University of Miami, the pond there, because that's where I was, because I would go and I would still study, and I would be doing research for UM, and creating these massive databases of orthopedic oncology cases, and but I remember opening that letter, and it's another blow, right? Like a strong blow, because you actually got to interview this time, and so.
You interviewed, you were grinding, you were networking, you had relationships.
Yeah. And still even then.
All right. And we're smiling about it now, but through this process of knocking on that door to talk to the residents and putting the splints on and all that, if you could take yourself back in your mind, or maybe into your like emotional consciousness, like, how did it feel?
Maybe totally putting yourself out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Like I had one mentor tell me in medical school, he was an orthopedic, Dr. Krennick. He told me, it's like, be a pest, like don't be annoying, but like be a pest. Like don't feel afraid to reach out, and right. Some people are very welcoming of that. They want that.
But you did it all and then didn't get in, right?
Still, yeah, did it all and didn't get in. And, I know the reasons why. And so, so we set up some meetings. I didn't give up, I thought long and hard about it. Even started considering maybe some other specialties.
Law school?
I never considered law school, but, you start thinking, right? Like, what am I going to do with my life?
Right, of course.
Right? Like, you're at that point.
You're 4 years out of medical school at this point, no?
At that point, like 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, at that point, you're 3 years out of medical school, and you're a foreign medical school grad, and not the best board scores, right? Never where I wanted to be.
Right.
Right. Like I have really high standards, and it always kind of went down just not enough.
Yeah.
But right, it's not all about that. It's not all about just like scores and stuff on paper. It's like, who you are as a person. So we had some meetings, and then so we set up a rotation, right? I spent 3 months on an observership rotation where I spent some time under each of the orthopedic surgeons in the program, and again getting to know the residents more, and then applied that last time, and that's it. That was.
Tell me about that day when you got that. Is it acceptance? Also an email?
It was. It's all an email. Yeah, it's an email. But this time I got phone calls after.
Oh, so tell me about that moment.
This time I got some congratulatory phone calls.
I
was in the back of my parents' house. I had my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife.
Yeah, of course.
She was there. My brothers were there. My family was there, and we opened the letter and. Changed my life.
Yeah.
Changed my life. I don't know what I would have done. So there's a few people that they know. If they ever hear this, they know who I'm talking about. But man, if they gave me a chance that a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
And it only just one. Right. All I needed was one. All I needed was one yes, and that's it. And so I think they're very grateful that they took that chance on me. And I think they were very happy with my time there, and it was great. I loved residency. It was 5 years, grueling years, especially the first few. But I was doing what I loved, and so that it's funny because right before I opened that letter, I was asked, it's like, what, because what if it was a no? Like, so what have you thought about, doing other specialties, or what happens if this, if, and I was like, and I felt like at peace. I knew it was going to happen. And I said, I'll never forget. I said, why would God put this passion in my heart if it wasn't going to come true? Mm-hmm. Right? why have me suffer so much? And so once I opened that letter, I was like, I knew it. So
we get in. It's a life-changing moment.
yeah.
And then just at a high level, what does residency entail? And after residency, where do you go next?
Yeah. So
because I feel like we're still about midway through the journey, right?
Yeah. You're not even finished the journey.
Yeah.
You're not even finished the journey, and so so you're there, and you're doing what you've been dreaming all these years to do. You're finally there, and you're just working hard. You're working hard. You're learning. You're just getting the experience, and you're seeing everything. I mean, at Jackson Memorial, you're seeing everything. Like, it's a level 1 trauma hospital. From trauma, sports, oncology. It's got every facet. I didn't have to go travel anywhere to do any kind of specialty or anything. It was right there. So these 5 years come along, and I get married, I have a child, I have my first baby girl. And so, and then that starts changing perspectives, right? Because, back in the day, I was like, I want to be an MBA doctor, right? And then you start seeing, like, that requires a lot of time. That's taken a lot of time away from family. And to me, coming from Cuban, Spanish background, like, family is very important. So I was like, you know what, kind of start figuring out what do you want to do, what specialty you want to be with. Because just in orthopedics alone, there's a lot of different specialties. There's sports medicine, there's hand surgery, there's oncology, there's trauma, you name it, shoulder, elbow. There's so many different fellowships, different avenues you can go just based off of that. And so I started thinking, some quality of life, some what I want to do. And I've always been attracted to sports medicine. That's always been my thing, right? As an athlete, you're treating athletes, even just like the actual surgeries themselves, right? The arthroscopies, being able to go with 3 small incisions in a shoulder and fix things through cameras. It's like playing a video game pretty much. So I've always been fascinated by that, and that's always been my passion. So that's what I decided to do. All right, so you graduate residency, now what? Right. So you feel like you've reached the top of the mountain, and now it's time for application cycle again, right? So it's all over again. You got to do your personal statement. You got to do your, apply to all these fellowship programs around the country. Luckily, end up matching to my number 1 over in Los Angeles. I went to Southern California Orthopedic Institute.
So you and the family moved to California?
We did.
Wow.
Yeah. So at that point, my wife, my 1 daughter. So we just picked up and moved. We lived in Woodland Hills, and Scoey was in Van Nuys, Thousand Oaks, Santa Clarita. So we're driving all over the place, and so we picked up and moved. Lived there for a year, and then moved back home. Okay. This is where I wanted to be. Right. So after the application cycle, getting to that, right, another success. But that that comes to an end at some point, and then what next? So now it's like searching for a job.
Right.
So and that's stressful because you start hearing, oh, there's no jobs here. Like, go up north.
North, like Palm Beach,
out of Miami.
Okay.
Right.
Broward.
Yeah, Broward, exactly, or even further north. Right.
Right.
I was looking Jupiter. I was looking.
Yes.
How far north, right? But
Right.
my wife and her family, right? You got to think about these other things as well.
Sure.
Right? If not, you end up in the Dakotas. You can go wherever you want.
Right.
So I wanted to be back home. My family was home. Her family was home. And so, but yeah, you're just constantly told, oh, there's no jobs here. Like, go up north. But eventually found something. So I practiced for 2 years with a group, and then, I think, you start, it's the real world, right? Mm-hmm. Private practice. I was more focused on private practice. I didn't really want to work for someone, I guess. But sometimes private practice, you're working for someone. And so I figured these things out. And at the end of the day, I came to a crossroads, and I was put in a position where I had to decide, what's the next move? And that's when like, I was reading books at the time. One book I was reading, what is it? Own Own Your Life, Own Your Day. I think it was Aubrey Marcus, I think. I don't know. Several
Where'd you
books.
find time to read books?
Oh,
Doctor?
okay. So, correct. So yeah, so I had joined another practice for a short period of time, and that practice I had a commute, and there was about a 40-minute commute each way, and so I listened to a lot of Audible books, and more self-development, more some entrepreneurial books, and then I decided, you know what, I want to be my own boss.
Right.
I want to do my own thing. I want to create a practice where I can control the different facets of it. I can do what I want, treat my patients how I want, and not be a factory, and really give quality time and provide quality care, one-on-one patients the way that I always foresaw it. The system has us forced, like cornered into practicing a certain style of medicine, which is really unfortunate, and a lot of people get stuck in it, and some people there's no way out, right? You've been doing it for so many years, and you're kind of stuck, and you just you burn out, and you're lived in this kind of rat race for the rest of your life. And I was like, nah, you live once, and so that's when I decided I'm going to do things the way I like, the way I've always envisioned, and and it's going to work out, and that's what I've been doing, and it's been great.
So I'm picturing this. You're in your car. You've got this incredible journey that's brought you to this point. You're reaching a crossroads where you feel like it's time to make a decision. And I can just imagine this. Your heart's telling you it's time to start my own practice.
It is. It was the hardest decision, one of the hardest decisions that I had to make in my life, because the people I worked for I loved. And they were fantastic, great family, and still colleagues to this day. So it was very emotional. And it was around the same time that I had to take my orthopedic boards examination. And I was having my twin boys. So after fellowship, I had another baby girl. And then there was this one moment in time where there was everything just happening all at once. And, I wasn't exercising anymore. I was, I had two girls. I was, working hard, trying to survive in this practice, and studying for my orthopedic board examinations, which is a whole nother crazy thing. But it's a good thing that it exists, because right. Doctors are good.
Narrowing.
Like if you're board certified,
yeah.
like you're good.
Yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah.
So go to a board certified doctor.
Right,
okay.
Right.
So all these things happening all at once, and so I had to tell my boss, like, look, I'm going to give you my 3 months notice, which is right. It was like crushed me to the core, and everyone saw it. And like, it was hard. One of the hardest things I want to do, but I knew, like, deep down inside, like, this is what I wanted to do. And, and my dad was, one of my role models, and he's an entrepreneur, and we'll talk about that. But, and I think that's probably part of the reason, and not because I talked to him or anything, is because, like, this is like this internal drive, and it's from my grandfather. It stems from way back. So it got over that hurdle of kind of giving my 3 months notice, and then took my board exam, and then I got in the gym again, and that was a game changer. Getting back into feeling like an athlete, and
yes, sir.
And
tell me when you got back in the gym, what would you focus on, and how did it change the game for you?
Yeah, so it was a gym that I had joined back in 2012, in those times of struggles, right? It's funny that when you struggle, you you kind of go
back to home base,
home base,
yeah.
Which is right, yeah, being an athlete. So I was gonna go crazy. I needed some place to let off steam, some place to have me time, and feel that drive, that competitive spirit So I ended up joining my old gym again. Big ups to Guido Trinidad. Okay. And man, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And I'm going, twice a week now, 5:30 in the morning. So, right. You got to wake up before all the kids wake up. You got to get it in before. If not, 6:30, the bell rings, and that's it. That's job number 2, job number 3, job number 4, and then they all start coming. but yeah, it's, you know, it's gotten my head right. It's gotten, I'm able to treat patients, knowing what they're going through.
Yes.
Right. So still having that mentality, still having that, yeah, no, like keep staying active, like lift weights. Let's go. Don't, they come to me and some others have told them, oh no, you can't do that anymore. I'm like, no, you need to.
Right.
You need to stay active. You need to stay mobile. All right. Mobility, flexibility, strength training, gaining muscle mass. Right. That's what promotes longevity. So that's what I try to instill in my patients, right? Like I'm living it and I'm trying to bring it to my patients. I'm not just someone that spits stuff that I don't really practice. So I'm practicing what I preach every day.
And it's a mentality. You've seen the pictures of my coach.
Yeah.
So
videos.
I met Coach 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I Googled. I was kind of I wouldn't say I was in a professional rut necessarily, but I was definitely in an athletic rut. Going to the YMCA.
That's what it is. It's like
60% lifting weights, looking at the basketball court, thinking, you know, my best days competitively were those days. So it's a similar thing when you're going back to the gym that you went to back in 2012. And, you know, you go to the basketball court, like you can get 100 shots up, but it might take you 3 hours if you don't have anyone to help you.
Yeah.
So I Googled basketball trainer Broward. And I found Coach David, who trains high school kids. And his whole bio was like, I'll train your kid who's trying to make the varsity team. So I reached out to him.
Train me.
So even now, he trains high school kids and me.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on our 5th year anniversary. And it has changed my life completely. And one of the best parts about it is it's actually a symbiotic relationship to where we push each other. You know, he's basically retired and runs training programs for kids. But 6 a.m., 3 days a week when we're both in town, we go hard.
Yeah.
We go really hard.
You have to.
And on the off days, I don't have the efficiency that I have with him, but I go hard. And I go into my actual day, which means the kids are awake when I get home and we start the family day and then also my professional day with a clarity that I don't think you can get otherwise. I can't think of another way.
Coaching is so important.
Yeah.
Like I can just go to a random gym, right? And just like lift my weights. But I go to a gym when there is a coach. There is a coach. And I get trained every morning. It's a class, right? It's like a CrossFit class. But not so much CrossFit. It's a little more athletic building and kind of different than it was 10 years ago. So, you know, the risk of injury is much less.
Yes.
You know, I'm focused more on quality and not so much on quantity. And but yeah, it definitely gets the day like starting right. Mm-hmm. And like even like if I do it Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that Tuesday still has a lingering effect into Thursday, and then that Thursday has a lingering effect into Friday. Then the weekend comes.
I'll be hurt all week.
Yeah, you feel that soreness, which is good.
Yeah, it's great,
right? But I mean, you know, at my age, right, I'm hitting PRs, right, personal records that I never hit before, right? Like I saw some meme that's like something about benching 225 pounds, right? And I never thought I can do that. And so the other day, right, and it's not even just having the coach, it's like surrounding yourself by athletes.
Community accountability. Yep.
Community accountability. So I had like these two guys that typically lift, you know, much heavier than I do. And I set up my bar and I'm, you know, put it on the weights and they're like, hey, can I join can I circle in with you and we'll do the reps together? And I was like, oh, you guys are going to push me. Yeah. And I was like, well, you know what? If there's any moment to do it, it's this one. So this was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? My goal has always been to hit 225.
Rack me up.
I've never actually tried it, right? Yeah. So, you know, we start putting up the weights and, you know, it was at the end of the set, but, you know, you started with like 155, then you're going to 185, and then I was like, let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it, guys. And they were there. They were pushing me, coaching me, and, man, that 225, I'm there, and you get that mid-pause. Yeah. And then your life starts going in your head.
I can do this.
I can do it. And then it just keeps going. And just like, you know, the last 15 years, man, you just got to get it from here to here, here to here. And eventually you're there. And man, that gives you like a few years of just, it's amazing.
Right.
Just hitting things that, you know, accomplishing things that you never thought you could really accomplish or, you know, you never really tried.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, tell me about your practice now in terms of your team. So you had this vision about what it's going to look like. This is the way you wanted to practice medicine. How'd you come up with the name, the logo?
Yeah.
And how do you? So
that was fun.
You could become an entrepreneur, and you had role models of what entrepreneurship is like. But every team is different. Every business is different. How did you basically turn the vision into reality?
So my last name is pretty unique, Mijares. Not everyone has that last name, and if you do, we're probably related in some way or another, right? So I thought, let's name it. Let's put my last name on there and put orthopedics underneath it, and then we kind of went through different variations. Designing and we came to one design that we really liked and stuck with that. And I'm not envisioning expanding and being a huge practice with multiple doctors. I kind of like this solo doc vibe that I have going on now. Maybe bring on a partner in the future. We'll see.
Right.
But when people come to see me, they see me. They're not seeing somebody else. They're coming and they're seeing me, which I think is we're getting right in the point of medicine where the system has forced us to see more patients at a lesser reimbursement, right? So it's forcing us just to do more quantity and less quality. So I mean, you go out there and make an appointment with anyone, you're probably gonna. You might get quality for a little bit, but it's not. You feel rushed. And I hear this. People come to me and like, I feel rushed. People don't give me the time, and so they come see me, and I actually sit down and I talk with them. And it's not a lot of time, right? Because I still have to see patients, but it's enough. It's enough that I feel like they got what deserved out of it, and I was able to spend that time with them. Sometimes it's just a listening ear. A lot of times it's just a listening ear. Just having someone listen to your problems and then kind of, we figure out a way together as a team, right? A team effort. I'm not saying like you need to do this, and that. It's like, all right, well, let's work together. Let's see how we can do this. And so we develop a plan, and then I'm on that journey with them the whole time. And sometimes that journey's smooth sailing. Sometimes that journey's got a lot of bumps in the road. But as long as we, just look 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
That's it.
We ran into each other when I was at the doctor a couple years ago.
That's right.
So I'll tell that story briefly, and then I want to get into the mic and drill in a second. But so you talk about attention to patients. I got injured in a pickup game. It was like a men's league game, and the injury felt really bad. Turns out it was for a basketball.
I know your injury, so yeah.
No, I know. But I'm saying from the perspective of laying on the floor waiting for the ambulance to come, it felt serious.
Yeah.
And so we go in the ambulance to the most close by hospital, and I'm laying there for not exaggerating, 2 days, and eventually they're like, the orthopedic surgeon is going to come in and your surgery will be tomorrow. Hey, we're like, so who's the orthopedic surgeon, and what do you mean the surgery is tomorrow, and what's the surgical plan and the treatment plan? And I won't get into the hospital or anything, but
sure.
One of the nurses said to us, and we were already kind of worried about this, I wouldn't let that surgeon treat my pet. And her point was not that he wouldn't have successful like the technical aspects of the procedure.
Sure.
But she said she had some kind of like workers' comp thing done, and she could never get in touch with him after. And so it was the post-operative care that she was flagging for us. We were already worried that, my left knee is pretty important to my life, and I wanted to actually meet the person who was gonna treat me. So, we checked out of the hospital. They said, you're leaving against advice.
Yeah, AMA, against medical advice.
And we're like, sure. Well,
which puts like a stamp on you, like you're a crazy patient.
Okay, I guess I'm the crazy patient who wants to meet the surgeon before.
Which is crazy. You should have the ability to, if you want to leave, you leave, and that's it.
So we left, and thankfully through our network and through relationships, found a great surgeon, and I'm so grateful for the care that we received. So grateful. I mean, that changed my life too.
When I saw you, I was like, you're in good hands.
Thank you. And I was, and you talk about the rehab when you were in high school. I think I was back with coach in a limited capacity within 4 weeks. of surgery, dribbling with the brace.
With the brace, yeah.
With the brace.
Wow.
And in PT, I think the week after the surgery, and I'm no longer above the rim, but I'm close. Pretty much everything else, I'm as good as ever, right?
Yeah.
And so that long story to say, I think the public, those of us who are fortunate, is so grateful when we have a doctor who will spend the time and who will not only like tell us what's wrong with our knee or our shoulder, but also say, I care about your life and your future after this, and I want you to get back as close as you can to 100%, if not surpass 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a blessing that in circumstances a lot more serious than a knee injury can change somebody's life.
Absolutely.
So thank you for what you're doing.
I have a patient right now that, you know, she was in an MBA and she destroyed her patella. Destroyed it. Bazillion pieces. We took, you know, almost a couple of hours trying to get every little piece together. And so, you know, I treat her parents, right? So they came to me, you know, which is, right, instead of going to, you know, the hospital and staying there, you know, they can just call me and
Right.
boom, yeah, come in today, I'll see you. And so since the moment I met her, right, like she's a she's a yogi.
Mm-hmm.
And so my whole goal, right, is for her to be able to do this one yoga pose, right, where your knee is flexed all the way, right? So for me, that's my goal for her.
Right.
And I told her that. I was like, my goal is for you to be able to do that pose. And so that's like, you know, it's not just, you know, fixing you and then, you know, be off to the races, you know. No, we're on this journey together. You know, and sometimes there's complications that happen, but, you know, that's when you get closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get closer and you're there with them and you're coaching them and you're telling them, like, look, I'm in this with you, right? Like, you're not alone. You're not alone. And so, like, it's hard. And they, you know, sometimes it looks like the end of the world. And but, right, that's what we're here for.
Right.
We're here because we've, you know, this is the first time she's ever broken a patella, right? She doesn't know, you know, she goes on ChatGPT and looking all sorts of things up, right? Like, no, we've treated, like, tons of them. Like, we know what to expect. We know what the outcomes are. And so we're able to coach them based on, you know, our experience with all these other patients. Right. Like, this is what you expect, you know, oh, you're falling a little bit behind. Oh, you're doing fantastic. You're dribbling at 4 weeks. You're way ahead of schedule. So just and developing that relationship and coaching them along the journey and seeing them on the end of the trail. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
That's, you know, when I do a surgery and they come back and they graduate, I still have to get a bell in the office, but every time someone graduates, I'm like, graduation bell, you know, yeah. And we're on the journey together. And my staff is amazing. I have so staff is equally important as a doctor, right? The staff could make or break you.
Sure.
And so that's why I don't even call them staff. I call them my team. Right. So I work with a team without, you know, as just like being an athlete, right? And I was always been in team sports. So, you know, without the team, like, you're as strong as your weakest link. So without the team being there, like, I couldn't do what I do. Right. Like, if both calls in sick, like, I have to cancel the day. I can't work. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and so having that, you know, that the personality, the people, the willingness to help, not just, you know, check in, check out, this is a job. Like, they're very much feel like they're part of the team. I ask them for input. I treat them like team members. I don't treat them like staff members. Sure. Like, you know, I have some experience with that where you know, people were treated like staff, and that's not what Mijares Orthopedics is about. And so if you're part of my team, then you're part of the team. We're a group. We're equals.
And I think I've seen you all do TikTok dance videos.
Oh,
is that true?
Yeah. So that was interesting. That was my little claim to fame, I guess. That video went viral really fast. But that was after a case that I did. So my surgery center is on the second floor. So after cases, I'll come down, I'll dictate my case, and I'll come back up. So this was a Friday. It was after I was done all the cases, and we finished a little early. And one of my girls asked me, "So, Doc, you know, how is it that you scrub into surgeries?" And so I was like, I thought, like, this could be pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was like, here, film this. And so then my office manager, she puts on Billie Jean on the background, the music. And so I just show how I scrubbed into surgery without being in an OR, without actually gowning into a real gown. And then I sat there for like 2 minutes and made little comments like the spin move and the tie. To me, it was like hilarious. And then I just posted it, thinking it was nothing. And then we just started seeing the numbers rack up, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be known as like the dancing."
Yeah,
the dancing surgeon.
I saw it.
So it was cute. It was fun.
That's awesome.
It was a good time, and like we did it as a team, so we'll always remember that. It was funny.
All right, so mic and drill. I'll take you back to high school.
Okay.
So lay up on the left, lay up on the right, lay up on the left, lay up on the right. Some fun questions just to get to know you better. And then after that, after we do mic and drill, then we're going to talk about your entrepreneurial roots, family roots, and then we'll talk about legacy.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Number one on the mic and drill. Would you rather score a game-winning goal in soccer or a game-winning touchdown in football?
Ooh. Oh, that's a good one. I think the game-winning touchdown in football. Yeah. I think so. I love soccer. Yeah. I think I like soccer better than football. But man, team gets extra hype. Fans get extra hype. I think more so in football.
And is that a catch in the corner, or is it a run?
I think it's a run.
A run.
I think it's a run with breaking a few tackles.
Blowing them over. Yeah.
I got some already in mind. Those are the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Up 1, 10 seconds left on defense, or down 1, 10 seconds left with the ball.
I'll take the ball all day.
Down 1.
MJ.
All right.
Take that shot. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Last shot.
That pressure.
Last shot, Mijares.
That pressure, I thrive. I thrive under pressure. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I call it even in law. I mean, there's no bright lights, but I call it under the lights. Yeah. When we walk into the courtroom, especially for closing arguments, it's game time.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I call flow mode. Flow mode. You're in a surgery. You'll be there for 2 hours. Feels like 2 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
You're totally, the world around you doesn't exist, and you're just in the zone, in flow state. It's incredible.
Agreed.
It's incredible.
Agreed. Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac.
Jay-Z or Nas?
Ooh. I think Nas.
MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
LeBron or Kobe? Rest his soul.
I think I'm going to say Kobe also. Love LeBron, but I don't know. MJ and Kobe.
He's not the GOAT yet.
I mean, we grew up with the Bulls dynasty.
That's right.
We grew up with the Lakers dynasty.
That's right.
Right. I don't know.
For me, it's really the Bulls.
The Bulls.
I like the Lakers, but really it was the Bulls.
It was the Bulls.
That was the only thing I could watch during the week.
Oh, yeah. Everyone had the Jordans on.
Yeah.
It was like the thing. It was, oh, man, you're shooting basketball every day in your backyard, and you're like MJ.
It's like actually in your mind.
Yeah. You're doing the fadeaway shot, right? Just like him.
Yeah.
Always.
Your favorite city in the United States?
I'm going to have to say probably Boston. That's where I met my wife.
Okay.
Special place.
Was she living there?
No.
Both visiting?
I was an intern over at UMass, and her best friend was in dental school, and we met via social media on Facebook because my mom had met her down here in Miami and told me I should Facebook her. And we actually just found our first conversation on our little weekend birthday trip not too long ago, way back when in 2011 when I first reached out to her. But yes, we went up to visit her friend, and we kind of coordinated a dinner, and rest is history.
Right. 4 kids later.
So special place in my heart for Boston.
Okay.
4 kids later. Yeah.
Favorite city you visited outside the United States?
Outside the United States. That's a good one. I think Italy, Firenze, Florence, Italy. I loved it. Yeah, really cool. Went there when I was a teenager. I remember, small memories, but being in a pub, in an Irish pub, I was maybe hopefully at drinking age at that time,
Right.
European drinking age,
Approximately.
approximately 18. But yeah, it was like Liverpool was playing and the fans were unbelievable. It was great. Just a bunch of young kids at a table, you know, with tons of soccer fans in Italy.
That's
It was
legendary.
awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
Who's your soccer goat?
Let's see. I don't know if I have a soccer goat. Give me some options.
My research revealed Pele, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo,
Oh.
Mbappe.
Pele.
Pele.
Yeah. Yeah. He revolutionized kind of the way people played sport, right? Juggling the ball and my wife's family is Brazilian, so like we've watched all the Pele movies
that's
and all
so
the Pele books,
cool.
and my kids are, you know, they're playing soccer like Pele and they have the jerseys, and so yeah, I would go for Pele.
And vacation in the mountains or by the beach?
By the beach.
Why?
By the beach. I love the ocean. I'm a sea guy. I love the ocean. I love you know, snorkeling, scuba diving, spear fishing, surfing. Number one.
Yeah.
Love doing that. You know, down here we got to wait for hurricanes to come,
Right.
or like cold fronts to get a little swell coming down.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, when I lived in California, I would go before clinic. I would go down, get a few waves in, and then head out to clinic. Probably smelling a little of salt, but it was great.
That's legendary.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's the dream. You earned it.
It
Trust
was
me.
Yeah, that was that
Yeah,
fellowship.
Yeah,
you know?
you earned it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take you back to childhood or whatever your best memories are of this time frame. And I want to talk about, well, let me tell you about your dad, and then I want to hear you talk about him.
Yeah, because you know my dad.
I now remember seeing him when
Yeah.
we were in high school. And he always seemed so smooth, calm, self-assured, and patient. In the sense that, remember the driveway, like where our parents would pull up to pick us up?
Mm-hmm.
I just remember, it's like a faint, it's a blurry memory. I just remember him standing by his car, just completely calmly, in the most dignified way, just waiting for his son to come out. And as a dad now, I can picture being that dad, right?
Yeah.
But at the time, he was your dad, and I just admired him from a distance, just for how stately he seemed. And I didn't know him personally at that time. I got to spend some time with you all as we were growing up, but that's my earliest memory of your father and your mother around the same time coming to our games and seeing her kindness and her. She was like quick to laugh, but also quick
Enthusiasm.
to scream at the refs or whoever. And it was great. It was great. And so your family is one of a few at Ransom that, even as a kid, I looked up to, along with my own. But like we're not the same. But I love you all just as much as I love my own family. And so I thank them for that. But okay, your turn. So tell me about your upbringing in general, whatever you want to share. But I'm really interested in coming from a family of entrepreneurs and becoming one yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it starts way back, right? So my ancestry, you know, from my dad's side, my grandfather was born in northern Spain, in Asturias, and you know, he was one of 21 brothers and sisters. 16 of which survived birth or youth, you know, and they were born like in a sheep stable. Like I actually went over there and looked at it on an ancestry trip, and it was pretty unbelievable. And I was able to see all their names and you know, with the Spanish Civil War in the 30s, they were sent to Cuba. So they were sent to Pinar del Rio on the west coast of Cuba, and from there then moved to New York. That's where my dad was born, Bayshore, Long Island. And then when my dad was 2 years old, they moved back down to Miami. And right, they had nothing. And so my grandfather, he worked as a landscaper, right? So he pretty much, you know, I don't know if he started his own landscaping company or just worked as a landscaper. He worked two jobs, and then he opened up his own jewelry store. So he was a jeweler. So he's a jeweler, a landscaper, right? Hustling. So
This is Miami.
in Miami. Yeah, so right here in Hialeah,
Right.
not too far from here. And then, right, and the goal was to create a foundation for his 4 kids. So he had 4 kids too. Look at that. I just thought about that now. And right, create a better life for them. All right. Same with my mom's side of the family, but we'll get to that. And then, so create a foundation for my family. So my dad was raised, in Hialeah, went to Hialeah Miami Lakes High School, finished high school, didn't go to college. I mean, my grandfather, I think he went up to like 5th or 6th grade. That's what they did at the time,
Right.
back then. My dad went to high school, and then my grandfather also started or worked for a company, right? So landscaper, jeweler, 3 jobs. He worked for Aerodex, which was a company that would make parts, I believe, in the 60s for Vietnam, right, for the Vietnam War. So, and then eventually it couldn't keep the capacity, so he went off on his own and started his own little company called Aerospace, and started making parts for the war. And then so my dad, was a young kid, was kind of learning the ropes, working there. My grandfather started his business with 2 lathe machines, or 2 machining machines in a room that he made in his backyard, right? That's how we all started. We all started in our backyards or in our garages, right? The true entrepreneurs. And then, right, years later, my dad goes off and, learns the business and decides to branch off and do his own thing, right? Like, want to be his own boss, kind of circles around. And so he is able to get a small loan. I think it was like $5,000 or $7,000 at the time, 1979, and bought 2 machines and started making parts. And there's no internet at that time, so he starts sending letters to different companies, and try me, give me a shot. And then one company would give him a shot, another company would give him a shot. He started making parts. Then now he's got a business that he's had for 40 something years. And then I think seeing that as role models, people that have come from nothing and just kind of continue to build and never give up and keep striving for more. So then he's been able to create a foundation for me, for my 2 brothers, and which has allowed me to do the schooling that I did, right? To go to college, to go to medical school, which no one in my family ever did. And then do what I'm doing today. And then, from my mom's side, she came over from Cuba when she was 10 years old, and my grandfather came here with nothing, with the skin on, with the clothes on his back. And so he had 3 kids to support, right? And these guys is kind of like they're made different. They were made different. They just put their head down. They didn't complain. They weren't looking for handouts. They worked hard.
Right.
He worked 3 jobs. He was making fishing rods. He was an auto mechanic, right? He was a mechanic. He had his own mechanic shop in Cuba at the time. And then, with the communist regime, they took everything away. And so he had the skill set. So he was making fishing rods, working at the gas station. And my dad, my mom, they went through school. My mom didn't know any English at the time, and so she went to Southwest, and they learned the language. And a lot of props to my mom, because she pushed me. Right, her dad pushed her. Her dad wouldn't accept anything other than A's. Right, so she pushed me. I mean, if she would have not have taken me out and put me into ransom. Right, I would have stayed. Like, I didn't know any better. Right. My dad was doing his thing. Like, he didn't really. He wasn't the most academic person either. Right. So it was really my mom that took me and put me in these schools and really sacrificed. We drove from Miami Lakes to Coconut Grove, an hour every day. My dad would take me in the morning. My mom would pick me up, and that sacrifice.
Yes, for sure.
You know it.
Sure.
And I think just that constant push, that drive. My mom always told me, eye of the tiger.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that, even to this day.
Yeah.
She'll look at me, and I know she's gonna say it.
Yeah.
right? Still to this day, at in our 40s, like still need that eye of the tiger. Still need that motivation to keep going forward, to push and provide for that family. From right, there was a point where came home, 4 kids, and I didn't know what I was going to do the next day. I didn't have a job. Right. So that's when I had to, make some moves and not just give up and not, just that's when Mijares Orthopedics. And I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't for, kind of getting pushed a little bit, because it's terrifying. It's terrifying to start your own practice. I related to like jumping off a cliff and building a plane on the way down. Kind of what it felt like. They don't teach you any of this in med school or residency. They don't teach you, the business of medicine, the practice, how to grow practice, how to manage employees and, a team. And so it's a lot of on the job training and learning, but, it's a lifelong of learning, and I love it. I'm happy.
Well, let's talk about legacy. So you've shared your grandparents' legacy, your parents' legacy, which is you and your brothers and your families. What's your legacy going to be? In at least 2 respects, in medicine and Mijares the man.
Yeah. So, first and foremost, to be, the best husband I can be and the best father I can be. I think, being able to spend time with your kids. I went to a lecture once, and someone, in their 70s or 80s gets up on the stage and the podium, and they're like, I'm sitting in the front row, like, what's he gonna say? And he goes, he's like, get to know your kids, and I'm like, man, to say that in your 70s and 80s, right, to figure that out at that point, so I'm thankful to have heard that early on. So now I really focus, like, I don't miss my kids' events. I don't miss soccer games. Like, I don't miss, there's a Thanksgiving show my daughter's putting on. Like, I'm going to go to that because, soon there's not going to be any more Thanksgiving shows, right? So these are like the important times in the life at their youth that they're going to remember, things that I remember when I was a kid. So I think, being the best father I can be, being the best husband, being there, being present with your family. I think there's a lot of distractions in the world. And so, you gotta always, be aware if you're not present, right? If your daughter tells you, Dad, you're on your phone, right? That hits home. That hits home because they're noticing that.
Right.
So now, when you get home, you try to put your phone away. I've taken all social media off of my phone. So it's now on the desktop at work. Right. And so on my admin day, I'll go in, check messages, see if you send me any messages. Yeah. But I'm there.
Right.
I'm with them.
Right.
100%. And I think, like, I want them to see that that their father was there. I want them to see that, their father worked hard, that he had a drive, that, that he created a business or a practice, where quality is present. Right. It's just so important. I want them to see me as, as the good doctor. Right. That's all I can ask.
Yeah.
I don't know what else.
Legacy in medicine.
Legacy in medicine. Yeah. I mean, treat patients right. I may one day, I've always thought, maybe creating a device or something to make something better, right? So I'm always thinking that way. Right. How could we improve this? How could we improve that? Medicine's changing so fast. It's so fast, and I think we're just starting.
Right.
We're just starting. There's so much advancement now. There's robotic things going on now, and we're trying to figure out where it fits in, and how much better is it than other ways of doing things. So I think, right, I mean, AI's taken off. Like, it's a whole nother, like, even from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's totally different. 5 years ago, like, the robotics had none of the like the magic that it has now. It's crazy. The ability to really optimize outcomes using technology. I think that's it's revolutionizing medicine. Yeah. So I think we'll still all have jobs, but
we will. you for sure will.
But it will be
It's different.
It's gonna be different. 20 years from now, like I don't even know if we can really fathom what it's gonna be like. That's how fast things are changing. Like we might be doing surgeries, not even touching the patient.
Right.
It's like, who knows, right? What we, like 20 years ago, there was like, we were just getting into the internet, and now look at it, right? It's, who knows where we'll be at. But, leaving a legacy for medicine, I think, hopefully I can leave, I don't know about technology or implants or anything like that. But to kind of keep medicine alive, keep the human part of medicine still there. I think we're kind of moving so far from that, and it's like numbers games that I'm trying to really hold on to the kind of classic medicine.
Right.
Yeah, like touch your patients, right? Examine them, right? If they're sad, if they're, put your arm around them. Keep that human connection. Which sometimes is not always there. So that's what I'm trying to do.
I think that's a great last word.
Love you, man.
Doctor, I love you too. I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished. And,
Same.
Even more proud of what you'll accomplish in the future through your kids. And it's been just a joy to watch you on the ascent, to be there for some of the downs, to see you on the ups.
You saw me
as well.
I remember seeing you on one of the downs.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And I'd had some of my own at the time.
Yeah.
And it's been great. It's great to see where you are today. Thank you for joining the show, and I look forward to sharing the product with you. If you, before you go, will tell anyone who sees this where they can find your practice online, on social media, where your office is located, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Mijares Orthopedics. It's 8700 or 7600 Southwest 87th Avenue, Suite 102. The number is 305-209-1218. My Instagram, my public account is Mijares Ortho, and just reach out. Happy to take care of you.
Awesome. Thank you for being a guest on the show.
Awesome. Loved it.
It's a wrap.
Smashing it with each tape while the radio is oversaturated cliches. The status quo's manufacturing sleep aids, so I dose like heroes after napping.